Oh, hi YouTube. I just got back from seeing the previous showing of Viceroy's House, which comes out in 2 days, starring Hugh Bonneville, and it's a very, very interesting film. Now, first of all, sorry, straight on my layout. A bad leg. I'm going to give this film some dues. It is beautifully shot. The costumes are spot on. The colour palette is amazing. The scenes are incredibly detailed. It really, really sets up the kind of how it kind of was back then during the kind of more the imperial times of the British Empire, where the houses were immaculate. It's very much like Downton Abbey. The servants that know their place. They kind of upstairs, downstairs, and it kind of follows separate stories going on that start within the servants' quarters, and obviously the Viceroy's story as well. Now, this is an interesting film because obviously the India partition ruined so many lives. It ruined so many lives. And we didn't really follow this at school. I mean, I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know that much about it. So it's kind of very uncomfortable to watch. And also, you can argue that this is the moment when one nation became two, and that divide led to so many clashes between India and Pakistan. Because the idea was Pakistan would be the majority Islam country, whereas India would be, Hindus and Sikhs. Okay, obviously stuff happened, and but this idea of this country wanted independence, craved independence, fought for independence, were promised independence after the Second World War. Then they're going to get their independence, and what they're going to do with it. And the idea of they were hoping that it would be a nice, easy transition turned out no, because they wanted a separate country. Okay? Or two separate countries. And this, I didn't know this at all. But when you have His Holiness Gandhi coming up and saying, split it in two, I was like, what? So yeah, that was a little bit uncomfortable. Apparently that's true. That actually happened. So, and by splitting the country in two, it meant that the individuals then had to suddenly look at themselves and their neighbours a different way. Now, if you have a choice between going to this country to that country, it's like declaring yourself forward. Imagine until this point your religion was there. It was mentioned earlier on in the film how the different Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims intermarry, and it was said really, really casually. And I started thinking, really, that's how it was back then? That could actually happen, and to how it is today, when that could lead to death in a lot of places. So so by splitting the country in two, it led to this kind of question about who you truly are, like an identity crisis. And also the fact that splitting the country, as the way it was, millions died trying to get from one end to the other. They starved. But imagine your country, which was fine. Okay, well, not perfect, but suddenly it's torn apart by civil wars, rioting, looting, killing, and eventual starvation. And the thing that I like about this film is, now, there you go, I'm just pronouncing him correctly. Gurinder Chanda, Chanda. She's British, okay, and of Punjabi, Sikh, Kenyan, Asian origin, okay. So I do have a wiki page in front of me, okay, just so I can that same correctly. I'm going to give this woman her dues. She began to produce films at a time where women didn't produce films, let alone Indian, or women of Indian heritage. Her first one was Bargy on the Beach, which I have seen and I do recommend. She's also did Bend It Like Beckham and Bride and Prejudice. So, and they're actually very, very different films, even though they have very, very kind of similarities regarding that kind of British Indian identity. And then she brought it over to this film. The thing is, though, is this. Now, I'm not going to give anything away, but it is mentioned that her real life family history it went full circle and led to this film. At the time, knowing that information, I would love to see more from... Can you imagine the normal person going through something like this? The choices they make, the journey they have to make, how they feel about being split. Now, as an audience, we learn what's going on through the eyes of Viceroy Mountbatten, played once again by Hugh Bonneville. Now, we see what's going on. We don't normally see the riots taking place in the streets or the dead bodies. We see the aftermath. We see the newsreels. But basically, we see what's exactly the same. He sees what the same world was getting as well. And obviously, being the BBC kind of news, it be that kind of stiff upper lip, very British kind of, in a way, bias. But he portrays a man very out of his depth. Now, I'm going to give Miss Chandra some absolute dues right now. Due to your family history, you could have played this in the absolute other direction. You could have made these characters... you could have, using actual history, which my friend told me about on the way home, using actual history, you could have turned these people into, I guess, from on the other side perspective, okay, on the man on the street perspective, into absolute demons. You could have turned them into characters, you could turn them into horrible people, but you didn't. You made them very, very real, very full human being. Mountbatten was out of his depth. He was out of his depth with this partition. He didn't know who to turn to. It was mentioned at one point in the UN, well, obviously no, okay? He had to keep this mentality of, I know what I'm doing, I think I know what I'm doing, the countdown clock's begun. And he had to bring in people who didn't know anything about the country to kind of sort it out. And there's this kind of very kind of selfish ideology coming in as well, regarding who was this really for? Was this segregation, this partition, for the benefit of the Indian nation, or even though we were leaving, was it for Britain and its allies? Now, it is no secret, this is going to 1940s, okay, that at the time, attitudes towards ethnic minorities, well, hey, ethnic majorities, because it's in India, wasn't particularly fantastic. I do like the fact that Lady Mountbatten, who, okay, I'm going to spoil it, I did not twig it was her. I sat down, I thought it was that Kristen Scott Thomas, actress. My friend thought it was Keely Hawes from Ashes to Ashes. No, it's Gillian Anderson. Gillian Anderson plays Lady Mountbatten, and I could not tell it was her. And I watched every episode of The X-Files, and I could not tell it was her. She holds her body tight, like tight. She hunches over slightly to make herself kind of appear smaller. She speaks in this absolutely spot-on British accent. I mean, there's British accents, then there's received pronunciation British accents. She's nailing that. So I'm absolutely impressed with Gillian Anderson. And I know Gillian Anderson, her character Lady Mountbatten, while she's there, she wants to do some good. She points out that by the time that Britain, the United Kingdom's been in this country, so many of them are illiterate. So many of them die so early. She comes in with these absolutely great ideals and dreams of basically trying to fix the system. But the problem is that system is so fragmented. No amount of help that she could do would never fix it. But I like the fact that her ideals are noble. They actually come from a very, very sincere place. She wants to try to integrate herself within the community. She wants to try to kind of meet people. And I think that's very, very impressive. Now, running parallel to this, there is also a Romeo and Juliet kind of story between a Muslim and a Hindu. Now, one thing I did like is that normally this kind of film is, as soon as the older generation find out, no, there was not really that. Now, the father of this, the female played by, I do apologise if I mispronounced her name, because I've never actually seen you in anything. Huma Qureshi, and I apologise if I mispronounced that. I've never seen you in anything, okay? But as Alia, you were fantastic. You are kind of a woman ahead of your time. You know where your family loyalties lie. You have grace, you have stubbornness, you have passion. And I like the fact that you are also very outspoken. So I thought you did an incredible performance. Now, she falls in love with a Muslim, played by, here you go, Manish Daya. Now, Manish Daya is in season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., by the way. and he's also in the 100-Foot Journey, which I actually did see last year, and it's a very, very good film. This couple, okay, playing Aya and Jeet, you believe their relationship. Now, normally, you know, there are kind of cultural conflicts, but they feel very believable as a relationship, or previous relationship. They are very, very solid. And I like the fact that the blind father, played by Owen Puri, who did pass away last year, he's fantastic in this. He plays his role very, very understated, which for his last film I thought was actually quite a nice tribute. For those who don't know who he is, he's the dad in The East is East. Now, he plays his role very, very understated, which I did kind of... There was an element of, I've done my bit, I just want this to be over kind of thing. So he is very, very resigned to this kind of brave new world, if you will. So I'm very, very impressed with this film, and I think everyone should go see it. At points it feels a little bit uncomfortable, given the kind of nature of this moment kind of led to, it's like a chain effect, you know? That this ideal of a perfect segregated society, countries, will never happen if you have to make people choose between an ideology or your family. It just doesn't work that way. So which is a shame, but I did enjoy this film. It is beautifully done, beautifully directed, and kudos to Gurinder for her work on this film. There's so many ways that you, as a director, could have played this, but you brought every bit of your experience in your last films to create something absolutely beautifully done. Understated in some ways, very powerful in others. And I did like the fact that when it all goes wrong, people still pick up and get on with it. And just like you, during your life, you just got on with it. So thanks for watching this. Good luck with this film. I hope it's an absolute box office smash it deserves to be. I hope you get all the awards. And take care. Bye now.